Okay, so next up we have an amazing session, and Kate will introduce in a second the person who's going to chair it. But for me, one of the most powerful and moving moments in Pittsburgh was listening to Josie Badger speak, who just did the most amazing job talking about disability. And she said, and those of you who've seen the video remember it, she sort of said there are two incredibly important moments in your life: the day you're born and the day that you find out why. And I think disability is a subject that doesn't get enough profile. It doesn't get talked about enough. And you know, it should. I mean, I think the thing that we all forget is we're only one tiny little event away from being disabled ourselves. It can be an accident, as has happened to Michael Schumacher recently, or you know, Christopher Reeve. It can be the accident of having one little chromosome that doesn't work out. And I think we need to be focusing an enormous amount more on disability and giving it the coverage and airtime that it deserves. So, Kate.
And particularly on inclusion. And I think we at One Young World have felt that this is an area that we need to do much, much more. And I know that many of you in your companies are working really hard on this. So we've been concerned to do this. And the person that is here today to help us to chair the session and to launch it is a counsellor that you've seen before, Caroline Casey, who's the founder of Canchi. I'm going to leave it with that, except to say that I hope you'll find a moment to say hello to my godson, who is over here. He's sitting at the back over there waving. Oscar. Have a wave to Oscar, everybody. Woo. Hey, Oski. This one's for you, darling. This one's for you. Caroline.
Thank you, guys. Just bear with me for a second, because I'm going to start with an apology. I owe somebody an apology. And when I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong. This morning, I thought I had only 1 minute to introduce the extraordinary Jennifer Kamara. And I did not do her credit. In the 15 minutes that I met her, I met an extraordinary woman who was smart, who was brave, who was tenacity, who was vision, who was brave, who was a leader for tomorrow. I did not give you the credit, Jennifer. I'm really sorry. You are the bomb. Please give her the credit now. So it's a very long time since I have been so nervous standing on a stage. And it was TED 2010 that my legs were shaking and terrified, and they are doing the same right now. And the reason I'm scared and excited is because this session is so important to me and for all of us who are trying to build a world where every one of us belongs, including the 1 billion people in the world who have a disability. One Young World is the only mainstream leadership forum in the world that has given this center stage. And this is important. This is really important. And isn't it fantastic? One Young World. You, the present and the future leaders, have said this is important. And I can't thank you enough. Because this world is a world where every one of us should be allowed to reach our potential, to celebrate our difference and our individuality. On Monday, I will be 43. It is my birthday. I am obviously not young. It was 25 years ago, I was 17. And on my 17th birthday, my life took a very, very unexpected change. At 17, I had a million dreams, things I really wanted to be, places I really wanted to go. And one of them was to be a biker chick. That's why I wear my leather trousers every time I talk. I wanted to race cars and I wanted to race motorbikes. And my parents, knowing this dream, had given me one driving lesson, so I could fly on my bike. But on my 17th birthday, I discovered that I would never use that driving lesson, because I was to discover that I was and had been since birth legally blind. I have a genetic condition called ocular albinism. And I know I don't look legally blind, but what does blind look like? I don't know. But it is an extraordinary thing that so many people say to me, I can't believe you wear heels and you can't see. I'm like, what has seeing got to do with fashion? I love my heels. I love my heels. And they're blue. But it is an extraordinary thing because beyond my hand, it's all blurry. It's all blurry. I can't see it. Thank God I can't. Every guy I say looks like George Clooney. You are the best looking audience that we could ever have right now. You got to be beautiful. So how did I get to 17 and not have a clue I couldn't see? Well, my parents, when they discovered that I had this condition, decided they would not limit my life with a label or just to define me by a pair of bad eyes. And they brought me up as a sighted child, sending me to a normal school, encouraging me to do everything a sighted child could do. No excuses. And now I understand why I was so shit at ball sports, and every boy I kissed was maybe a frog, but I thought they were beautiful. But that was my life. So when I discovered at 17 that I had a new label, this disabled label, I was terrified. I made the misassumption that if you were visually impaired or blind or had a disability, you couldn't live the life you wanted. And so I chose to hide it. I discriminated against disability by not owning my own. And I am sorry. And I hid it for 11 years. 11 years, very successfully. I got to tell you, being blonde and blind has its complications, and I did a few funny things, but I got away with it. It's amazing what you do when you believe. But in 2000, the sight that I had left was temporarily damaged because I wasn't taking care of my own vision. And I was exhausted being somebody I wasn't. I was tired of trying to be perfect. And so I admitted it. I admitted the lie. And I fell out of the disability closet very ungracefully. I left my high-flying job as a management consultant and took a great career change and became an elephant handler. Yes, elephant handler. And I became an elephant handler by trekking 1,000 kilometers across southern India on an elephant called Kanchi, the craziest, most tricky elephant in the world. And it's because of Kanchi I stand here. On Kanchi's back, I learned my eyes were not the problem. It was my attitude about my sight. You don't need eyes to see. You need belief, and you need vision. And when I came home, if my attitude about disability had been so bad, I knew I needed to do something to change it. So I bought my elephant Kanchi, and she lives in India, and I set up a company called Kanchi here in Ireland to kick the elephant out of the room. Disability is the elephant in the room. And Kanchi's obsession was to change our global thinking on disability, to create a world where every one of us belongs. On my 17th birthday, it would have been extraordinary, and so unbelievable to think I would stand here on a stage in front of you and tell this story. But here I am, all of me. These incredible eyes, and I'm proud of them now, I would never have them change, have given me a journey of 14 years. And when you try to change something so complex as this social issue, you have amazing success and you have dreadful failures. dreadful failures. But today is a bloody good day. Today is success. Today we are putting disability on the center stage, and I thank you. Today we're going to celebrate oneness, not otherness. Today we're going to celebrate uniqueness, individuality. Today it's about likeness of being. Today we are one world. One world! One! Now, because I'm all about making a point, we're going to do something. Everybody switch off your phone and your computer and anything that has a light right now. Everything. Down. We are going to make a point. We're taking the lights out for 60 seconds max. Do not worry. You are safe. Health and safety will only allow it for 50 seconds. There are torches. Mick, hit the lights. Woo! You are in as dark as we can get you because we want to make a point. I want you now to wipe your head clean of all the ideas and assumptions and stereotypes and beliefs that we have around disability. I want you to think, who am I? What do I want? What are my dreams? What are the things that I believe in? And when you hear your speakers today, hear yourself in them. We are all human. It is society that is disabling. It's not people who have disability. And as the lights come on, we are going to stand together in shadow. And you will meet your speakers off the stage. It's a crude point, maybe, but it's a visual point. There are 1 billion people in the world who are part of our family. And they are the greatest marginalised group still of our time. People with disabilities don't just want to talk disabled topics. They want to be included in topics of environment and politics and education and fashion and sex like anybody else. Think about who you are. Think about what you want. Think about what you are dreaming of. And promise me that this is the last time we ever put disability in the sidelines and the margins. I'm now going to introduce you to your 5 speakers. And we have asked that each speaker tell you who they are and what they want from life, because they're just the same as you. I'm firstly delighted to introduce you to the wonderful Mark Pollock.
Mine is a 3-part story. When I was young, when I was a teenager, I wanted to compete. And my sport was rowing, crew. I got into a boat and I raced for my school, I raced for my university, and I raced for my country, Ireland, winning medals along the way. The second part came age 22. When I went blind, I wanted to go further. And that took me from my bedroom to my front door, to the Gobi Desert to do 6 marathons in a week, to the Himalayas to do the Everest Marathon, to Jordan to do the Dead Sea Ultra, to the North Pole to do a marathon. And 10 years after going blind, I did a 43-day expedition race with my team of 3, racing against 6 other people to eventually become the first blind man to reach the South Pole. Thank you. And the third part comes when I broke my back. And when I became paralyzed, I just wanted to walk again. And now I'm on a mission to find and connect people around the world to fast-track a cure for paralysis. People working in science, robotics, pharmacology, neuroscience, biology, brilliant people around the world to fast-track a cure for paralysis. I was a competitor, I still am. I was an adventurer, I still am. I'm now an explorer, but I understand that sometimes we all face challenges that we choose, and sometimes they choose us. What you and I decide to do about them is what counts. And as leaders, I think it's important that we decide to be brave, we decide to be different, and we always, always decide to be ambitious. Thank you.
I'd now like to introduce our second speaker, Joanne Reardon.
My name is Joanna Reardon. I was born with a rare limb condition known as total amelia. This means that I was born without all 4 limbs. There is no medical explanation as to why this happened, but I've never allowed it to hold me back. In fact, I'm only one of 7 people in the world living with this rare condition. It is safe to say that I've never allowed it to hold me back, and I've done everyday activities in a way that most people can never imagine. I text, send tweets, update my Facebook, play my PlayStation, do my homework, use my iPad, iPod, and laptop, all without the use of my 4 limbs. I use my nose, chin, top and bottom lip to achieve all these kind of activities. I live a life that most of you can never imagine. I go out every day with my friends, and it's very weird, in fairness, to see a girl with no limbs driving down the street at about 10 kilometers an hour, and you've no idea what to do, only jump out the way, because I will run over you. On the week of my 16th birthday, I was delighted to get an invitation to go speak to the girls in ICT at none other than the United Nations. I was invited over to New York to discuss how technology has not only affected me, but others like me in similar positions. Technology has been a way out in my life. It has allowed me to communicate and get around and do things that none of you could ever imagine. I managed to set the United Nations a challenge, and most of you are probably going to gasp when you hear it. I decided to tell the United Nations that I wanted one thing in my life, and that was to build me a robot. This robot would allow me to go out and live a full and independent life. The robot is now being built by Trinity College Dublin, and I am delighted to say that phase 1 has been completed. The robot will do things that you'll always... Sorry. The robot will now be my arms and legs. It is the reason I'm going to live a full and independent life. I would like to challenge everyone here today to do what I did and think outside the box. I hope you enjoyed your last 5 days at the conference, and I hope that tonight and tomorrow it'll give you a whole new idea of what to do in your life. Thank you very much, and have a very good time.
Adam Harris. Woohoo!
My name is Adam, and I'm 19 years old. At the age of 5, I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, a condition on the high-functioning end of the autism spectrum. Those of us with autism are no different than anyone else. We're of average or above average intelligence, we have skills, we have interests, we have talents. But if you can imagine being put on a spaceship in the morning and sent to another planet, wanting to communicate with the alien population, but not knowing how to, wanting to go to school, but not fitting in and not being able to conform, and in being surrounded by an environment you simply couldn't deal with. I've been lucky because I've benefited from early intervention, and I wanted to do something to give back to people with autism, to start talking about ability, not disability, what people can do, not what people cannot do. That's why I set up asiam.ie, giving people with autism in Ireland a voice, to not just be service users, but service leaders. You can't see me right now, but you can never see autism. Oh, I can't ask you to open your eyes, but I will ask you to open your hearts and your minds.
I'd now like to introduce you to Sinead Burke.
Good afternoon, One Young World. Are you out there? There is 1,300 of you out there. You can do far better than that. Are you out there, One Young World? Thank you very much. Good afternoon. As Caroline said, my name is Sinead Burke. I am 24 years of age, and I am currently a PhD student in the School of Education in Trinity College, Dublin. But apart from that specific label, I'm a teacher, I'm a broadcaster, and I'm the Alternative Miss Ireland Emeritus. But who am I? I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a cousin. I would like to think that I'm a loyal friend, but I am also a person. As many other people here backstage, I also have a physical disability. But one of my biggest interests is the fashion domain. When I was 16 or 17 years of age, I found the fashion domain to be not for me. Even though I have the same size waist as Kate Moss and the same size ass as Nicki Minaj, it didn't accommodate for my measurements. And what did I do? I looked for an online platform. I started a blog to try and infiltrate the fashion domain from a different perspective, to find out who makes clothes in the size of 0, 2, 4, 6, and how can we go about changing that. But who else am I? I also have a huge interest in talking to people. I have great curiosity in trying to find out how people are successful, what they did to get where they are. I guess that's really the polite way of saying that I'm incredibly nosy. What would I like to do? In my role as a PhD student, I hope to emerge in 3 years as Dr. Sinead Burke. I hope to go into the colleges of education in Ireland, and not just here, but internationally, and expose that education isn't a one-fit model. We need to diversify it to accommodate not just for the spectrum of disability, but for the spectrum of ability. Gur míle maith agaibh. Thank you so much.
And your final speaker, Niall Resin.
It's a privilege to share the stage with such inspiring, amazing people. My name is Niall Resin, or Brezzy as most people would call me. I've had a very blessed life. I've been a professional rugby player. I have been in a touring band, signed act band. I've been on television. I have an amazing family, I have amazing friends, come from an amazing town. But my disability is one of the mind. I've struggled since 15 with depression and general anxiety disorder. And although I've achieved everything I've wanted to achieve, I've done it in spite of the stigma that society has put up around depression and general anxiety disorder. And I've made it my mission since coming out publicly and speaking about it to absolutely knock every brick of the wall built around it in this country, through the education system, through our government initiatives, through general society's opinion on what it actually is. And the irony of what I've dealt with all my life is that it's always given me an edge over everybody else. I truly believe it's given me an edge, because with depression, nothing can be as bad as that day when you're stuck in your bed and you can't get up and you cannot look at anybody in the eye. So that's how it's given me an edge. I feel depression is the most misunderstood thing in this country, and I don't know what it's like in the rest of the world, but my mission is within the Irish society, and hopefully across the world I can make a difference and help people with this mental health.
So I feel like Billy No Mate standing here on my own. Would you like to meet your speakers? Okay, let's bring up the lights and give you a big round of applause to your 5 speakers. Mark Pollock. Joanne Reardon. Adam Harris. Sinead Burke. And Niall Breslin! Woo!
You sure you want to sit? You sure? You want to sit on my knee?
Now, don't we make an interesting world?
Good. Sure you want to sit?
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So, I know we've got no little time, so we're going to go through this quickly. And though all of these stories are so, and we all hate the word inspiring, there are obstacles that face us. We're the lucky ones. We're the lucky ones. There are people with disabilities all around the world who are hidden away, or in institutions, or left to die. This is a serious topic, and yes, it's a celebration today, but there are obstacles. Every day, I struggle, and it might not look like I do, but I do, because the world is not designed for people who half see, or not very much at all. And I'm going to ask each of our speakers to tell us some of the obstacles they face. And Mark, I'm going to start with you. In your world, what are some of the obstacles or assumptions or stereotypes that stop you getting the dream that you want?
I think for me, it's a question of moving from that time whenever I acquired blindness and more recently acquired paralysis, and stopping thinking about what people's expectations are of me or blaming other people for what's going on, and instead taking control of my circumstances, my blindness, my paralysis, and what I do next, which is why I've said now twice, once yesterday and once today, that we all have our challenges. What we decide to do about it is what counts, particularly for people like us on the stage in this part of the world at this time in history who can make a difference. I do have options, and therefore the privileges that I have give me a responsibility, and many of these people in the room, the responsibility to go out there and to be the change makers. So I think it's a question of taking charge, taking control, taking risks, and making decisions. And it took me a while to get to that point.
Joanne, the emotion of belonging and being included, it's not just something that we feel, people with disabilities feel. It's something we all feel. What are the obstacles that you feel that you face in your life that stop you being included in any way?
The challenges now that I face get far greater each and every day now, to be honest. I mean, when I was younger, I used to have to face the obstacle of getting to primary school to get my primary education. That meant we had to go to a school where it was open for about 100 years, and not one person in a wheelchair had gone through it. So we had to make sure there were ramps, make sure the school was accessible, make sure I could get into the classrooms, and small things like that. Same with secondary, you had to make sure that everyone was included. I could go to the classrooms like everyone else. Fair enough, I might have to go another way around the classroom, but in my mind, I felt like the VIP, that I had to go in by the back entrance, you know? Now in college, I'm living fully independently in a house with a housemate and 5 PAs who do shift work every day. This has now allowed me, I suppose, to go out into the bigger world without my parents, move on from living at home with my family, and now become a bigger and more independent person. And to be honest, every day there are challenges that you might take for granted, taking off your jacket, opening a door, cooking yourself something, and whatnot. So they are the challenges that I face every day. But instead of looking at stuff that I can't do, I look at stuff that I can do.
Well done. This girl could beat you at a computer game anytime, I believe. FIFA, sorry, oh God. Adam, we've talked a little bit about invisible disability. Do you think that's a challenge for you living your life, or what is some of the greatest obstacles that face you?
I think that's a big challenge, because when we're talking about people with autism, we're talking about people that put in enormous effort just to cope in the world every day. I mean people who find it really difficult to be in a room with lots of people, or can't deal with loud noises or strong smells, or literally who want to be able to socialize with you, but aren't able to read your facial expression. And it's really inspiring that people with autism do so much just to cope in the world every day. Yet, what needs to happen is society needs to meet these people halfway. Because when you've got a person who's maybe of average or above average intelligence, but the difficulty is social skills. You have a person who looks entirely normal, whatever the hell that is, and has a very good intelligence, but social skills are here. And we're so quick to resort to words like weirdo, like strange, like odd. But you know what? It's not just people with autism's loss, because people with autism have amazing skills. And if we just give people the support and we start accepting people as they are, the whole world wins.
Okay, fashionista, what is your What is your greatest obstacle to be the person that you want to be?
When I was standing in the wings, I deliberately didn't mention my difference. As you can see from looking at me, it's quite obvious. But I am very, very proud to be different and to be a little person. October has been, thank you. It has molded and shaped my perspective on life. I have never been anything other than me. And for me to try and think of what it would be like if I was average height, it's a little bit of a scary thought. But what I would like to impress upon you most is October has been designated as Dwarfism Awareness Month. It has come up here on the stage that language is so important. And one of the words which makes my life extremely difficult is the term midget. It is a derogatory term. Language is very personal. If I was referring to myself, I would say that I'm a little person. But friends of mine prefer terminology such as dwarfism, short stature, or restricted growth. But if I could give you one piece of advice on how to address me, or anyone else my height, or anyone else at all, please use our names. We'll always answer to that.
Brezzy, you refer often to stigma. Is this the thing that you believe is the greatest obstacle in us understanding depression and mental health?
In this country, which is my experience, it just feels like over the years and years and years with mental health and depression that we've just pulled back this big elastic band and we've let the tension build up consistently over everything. And now it just seems like someone's let go and the whole country is changing their view on it. And this is brilliant. This is very positive. It's going in the right direction. But now we need the likes of the media. We need, people always talk about mental health services. That's one thing. One thing for me at the moment is the stigma. And society controls the stigma, and so do the media. If the media can make people like the Kardashians relevant, it shows you how powerful they actually really are and what they could do. So I'm sorry if there's any Kardashian fans. But my main reason for speaking about it, as a 15-year-old, when I first started choking in my bed every night, when I started ripping my duvet apart because I couldn't breathe, it was no other word but pure terror. I didn't know what it was. I actually truly felt I was possessed. That's the only way I can describe it. And this went on, and I was an insomniac. As 15, trying to go into school and be normal. And it really was starting to have serious implications. And the thing about it is, and the reason I've come out and why this stigma is important towards me, is that as a 15-year-old, I was on my hands and knees hoping someone would say something to make me go, I'm normal, this is normal. Lots of people deal with this, but no one ever did. So I promised myself if I ever got strong enough to speak publicly about it, and just in the meantime, I actually did a TV show, and then you've given a public profile, and you go, right, I can really make a difference here. I promised myself if I ever got to that place, that I'm not going to hold back, and I'm going to go, and I'm going to go, and I'm going to go at the education system. I'm going to go at governments, macro, everything, media, the whole lot, whatever it takes to knock the stigma, because that's doing the most damage. That really is, because this is a very dealable, manageable thing, mental health. It's not if you ignore it. You cannot deal with it if you ignore it, and I think that's my kind of game plan for the next foreseeable future.
Okay, so one of the great things about not being able to see is I can't see this clock, which is ticking down time, but I'm feeling we are really under pressure.
Minutes.
What does it say?
22 minutes.
Oh, excellent. Okay, we're good, we're good.
Got 1 minute. Go.
Okay, so listen, we've got to pack a lot in. In the last few minutes we have, we, the 6 of us, have 1,300 leaders in the world sitting out there. These are the leaders of today and tomorrow. And we're all going to get one wish or one ask for them to help us build an inclusive world for everyone, including the voices that are not being heard today. Brezzy, I'm going to start with you. You have the leaders here. What do you think needs to happen to build an inclusive world?
Well, I think, as I mentioned, I think the power people have that's often overlooked. People assume someone else always has the power. We always assume someone bigger and better has the power. They don't. We have. And that's the important thing. From my perspective, and from dealing with this, we have this horrible aspect of people because it's what we're fed. It's what we're force-fed through the news, that people aren't good. And that is just not true. It's just not true, and I don't believe it for a second. I think people, by their very nature, are good. And I think we need to play off that. And I think this is something that needs to be highlighted, especially across this, to be on stage with these people. And I know all their stories. I've heard them before. It's truly inspiring. And I think people need to really stop just going, leaving this building now and go, that was a lovely 25 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever we spoke for, and actually do something. Pick one thing that you all do, just one little thing from our talk. And that's 1,300 people doing one thing, and watch what happens. And that's all it takes. So that shows you the power we all have, and especially you. You're obviously incredibly gifted people. And you can magnify the message, because we can only speak to so many people in so many places. It needs to be magnified, and I think that's your job. And I think you're here because you're good people, and you can take this further. So that was all I would say. I think it's an amazing thing to be part of. I'm very proud to be part of it, and I'm very privileged. So thanks a million for the time.
Thanks, Okay, Sinead, I'm sure there's something red going. What have you got to ask these dudes for us?
My biggest difficulty is that I was born into a world that wasn't built for me. It was built mostly for all of you. My biggest challenges are those of a physical nature. If we looked around the room, for example, what height are the light switches at? If you're going to withdraw money from an ATM, where is that situated? If you go to a public bathroom, where is the lock on that door? If you're going to order a cup of coffee, where is the till? I was in college last week and had an interesting, in inverted commas, incident. I was standing beside a woman who was perhaps 60 or 70 years of age. The barista said to the woman, "Oh, is that your little girl?" To which the woman embarrassingly had to say, "No, I think that's a woman." If you could manipulate the physical environment to suit not just one aspect of disability, but the whole spectrum of ability and people, that would make my life easier. To illustrate it fully, if you all, 1,300 of you, were born into a world that was built for me, how would you survive? How would you adapt? I imagine back strain would be involved. Thank you very much.
Adam, what do you got to say?
I didn't set up asiam.ie to cure autism, but I did set up asiam.ie to cure a different disability. It's a disability you won't find in any diagnostic manual, or very few doctors will be familiar with it, but it's rife in our society all around the world, and it's called Pontius-Pilate syndrome. And what Pontius-Pilate syndrome is the idea that, oh, I feel really sorry for people with autism or people with disabilities. I'll give a fiver, but then I can go back to living my life whatever way it was. That autism or disability is something for the government, or something for the medical community, or something for those with disabilities. No, it's not. People with disabilities are citizens first, and every single one of us can do something to help a person with disability. And the first step to that is seeing the person for what they are, identifying the strengths, and giving them the tools, and giving them the understanding to reach their potential.
Joanne?
Do what I do in my life every day and think outside the box. I was literally only saying it to Adam backstage. He was asking me, how do I itch? And I said, have you ever itched yourself off a door? Go for it, try it. I am not the person that I am today because I sat down and decided to take everything as it came to me. I took each opportunity that arose to me and I used it beyond expectation. When I went over to United Nations, they did not expect that I would stand up on the stage in front of 200 of the smartest women and said, all right, lads, I want a robot. Thanks very much. Goodbye. And now after that, I am getting my robot. So you have to go for whatever you want to do in life. If it makes you happy, go for it. If it doesn't make you happy, forget about it. Just do whatever you want to do in life. And as cringy as it is, do what I do, and YOLO. You only live once. YOLO!
And Mark, we're going to finish on you before our last surprise, but what is it you want these leaders to help you with?
Well, look, I'm going to speak quite generally because I'm conscious that yesterday there was a girl who asked a question in the human rights session from Kurdistan, and I have to say, people from Kurdistan, you're all very vocal and passionate, but I didn't get a chance to answer her question. She was asking, what do you do with someone in a wheelchair who doesn't leave their house. There are no sidewalks for people to go down in wheelchairs. In many parts of the world, there are no wheelchairs for people with disabilities. There's certainly little understanding. So in that context, I switched now to London 2012 Olympic and Paralympic Games. And I met a guy called Stephen Frost, who was head of the 200,000 volunteers, people who were dealing with people with disabilities, different cultures, different norms. And the question for necessity take, out of necessity and out of complication, came down to these very, very simple things, which is that I think no matter where you're from, no matter what the disability, it comes down to just asking. So if you come across someone with a disability, you don't know what to do with them, you don't know what to say, just ask, just ask, just ask.
Uh-oh.
Just 2 seconds as I'm being instructed.
Is that what's happening there?
Talk among yourselves.
They're having a bit of a moment there.
So lads, how's it going?
Not so bad, yourself.
What's going on? Yeah, we're going to
When
do
are
it
you all
anyways.
going home?
Wanted to say, I was just saying to Caroline to say hi.
We have to,
One of our great ambassadors over here, Josie Badger.
Come on, can she come to join us?
I'm not sure if her chair will come around here. Josie Badger, Miss Wheelchair USA. You go, girl. It's so good to see you again.
Where are you, Josie? Okay, so this is our last request. You're in Ireland. We're good storytellers. And when we've something to celebrate, we party hard. And we sing. If we're good at it, doesn't matter. And we dance. And today we wanted to end, because you've been doing a lot of listening, and a lot of talking, and a lot of sitting. So we want to introduce you to the choir who are going to get you out of your seats, or dancing in your seats, in the aisle, and singing your boxes off. Because we're here to sing. This is the Move for Parkinson's Choir. Many people don't realize that of the 1 billion people in the world who have a disability, 80% of that 1 billion acquire the disability after the age of 18. 15% of our global population currently has a disability. It will soon be 20%. This Move for Parkinson's Choir are an extraordinary example of never letting a disability define them. Often, when you get Parkinson's, your physical voice can be affected. But more importantly, your voice in society can be diminished. This group of people have found their voices again, and with the power of music, have learned to express and say who they are and reinvigorate themselves. They have chosen their favorite anthem, but it is not an anthem just for them or just for disability. It is an anthem about all of us, all of the power that we have inside. And I could not be prouder to end this session, but to introduce the Move for Parkinson's Choir singing their favorite song, Something Inside So Strong. And get off your feet and dance.
You gonna sing along, Caroline?
The higher you build your barrier, the taller I become. The farther you take my rights away, the faster I will run. You can deny me. You can decide to turn your face away. No matter, 'cause there's something inside so strong. I know that I can break it. Though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was wrong. Oh no. Something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong. Yeah. The more you refuse to hear my voice, the more you refuse to hear my voice, the louder I will sing. The louder I will sing. You hide behind walls of Jericho. Jericho. The lies they come tumbling, tumbling. Oh, deny my place in time. You squander wealth that's mine. My light will shine so brightly it will blind you. 'Cause there is something inside so strong. Oh, yes, there is. I know that I can break it. Though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. My pride was wrong. Oh, something inside so strong. Something inside so strong now, yeah. Something inside so strong. Brothers and sisters, when they insist we're just not good enough, not good enough, no. When we know better, yes, we'll know better. Look them in the eyes and say, we're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway. Something inside so strong. Something inside so strong. I know that yes, I can make it. You're doing me wrong, so wrong. That my pride was gone. I know you thought my pride was gone. Oh, something inside so strong. Oh, yeah, yeah. Something inside so strong.
Here we go.
Brothers and sisters, when they insist we're just not good enough. Oh no, not good enough. No, 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 no. When we know better, yes, we know better. Look them in the eyes and say, we're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it my way. We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it our way. We're gonna do it oh, there's something deep inside. I know that I can make it. Oh, so wrong. My pride was gone. Oh, you thought my pride was gone. No. Something inside so strong. Something inside so strong. Something inside so strong. Something inside so strong. Oh, you thought my pride was gone. Yes, I can make it. Oh, you're doing me wrong, so wrong. Yeah, yeah, my pride was gone. Something inside so strong. Something inside so strong. Something inside. There's something deep inside of me. Something inside so strong. Something inside so strong.
Awesome, well done.
Cheers, Sinead.
You're fantastic.
Cheers, Sinead.
Well done, Mark. Well done, Caroline. That was awesome.